road, getting past copyrights. It's been a long time, but the Salon will start right now. Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to an even jauntier Salon. That's right, we have updated our theme. The feedback has been heard. And now with a more upbeat guitar, I'm sure everybody loves it. That was the problem with that theme, just like in Star Trek Enterprise. Welcome. Tonight we are talking about season 3, the first half, and doing our fun little thumb war. So get excited. Before we do some podcasty things, please do like and subscribe. We are live on YouTube right now, of course. If you're hearing this not on YouTube, you're probably following us on one of the many podcast platforms. You can also follow our nonsense on Twitter and Bluesky at Salon Trek in all of those places. You can also support us on Patreon if you've got a couple of dollars to throw our way to help defray the costs. Certainly appreciated. There are discounts to the store. You can find a link to some fun merch at salontrek.com. And like I said, it helps defray the cost of the salon. We do bonus content for the $5 and $9 supporters. But everybody who gives any amount gets a discount at the store. And there is also a free tier to participate in our fun polls. And before we move forward, I do also want to remind folks, hopefully, if you're watching this live or you're hearing it on Friday when this goes live on podcast platforms, this Saturday, a really exciting event, Trek Talks 4 will be live. It's an all-day marathon of various panels with a whole bunch of incredible people from all over the Trek franchise, hosted by John Billingsley, who of course played Phlox. We'll be talking about him tonight, and Bonnie Gordon, who was a voice in Star Trek Prodigy. They will have panels from writers, from performers. They'll be talking about the incredible Jerry Taylor and honoring her after her passing this past year, and her co-creating Star Trek Voyager, her work on The Next Generation. And again, so many panelists. You see some of them on the screen. You can go to tinyurl.com/TrekTalks4 or just search Trek Talks on YouTube. Again, all day this Saturday, starting at 9:45 a.m. Pacific. All of this is in support of the Hollywood Food Coalition. It's an incredible organization that raises money to provide food. And it's not just, a random kind of thing. It's a good, hearty meal with choices. They work with countless partners to provide food in various areas across the Southern California region. And as you all know, things got so rough over the last couple of years, but in particular here in LA after the fires. So please do give what you can. Up to $50,000 is going to be matched by Rod Roddenberry himself. So check it out at Trek Talks. You can donate now. You can wait until Saturday to give during the live panels. They'll have a fun thermometer going. It's an incredible organization, so please do give what you can. All right, y'all, it is time to talk about Star Trek Enterprise. But in order to do that, I have to beam aboard a crew. I can't do this myself. It's Star Trek Enterprise. I need some other white men to do it right. Trevor, how are you?
Not drunk enough yet for this season.
Indeed. Speaking of drunk enough, Benji, are you?
Rarely and no.
Okay. Segue here. It's Will. Will, how are you?
I'm fine. Also not drunk enough, but not drinking. But
yeah, same.
Wish.
Well, cheers to that, everybody, to pretending to be drunk enough for this season of Star Trek Enterprise.
I will be by the end.
Oh, God willing. All right, y'all. We need to do it. We're in a series run. We made it. Season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise, now with a John Tier vibe. So we're going to get into it. But before we get into it, we must we simply must
Wait,
for Trevor to remind me of something I may have forgotten.
are we getting into that, or are we getting into the other thing first?
The other thing first. I knew there was another. No, there was not another slide. I knew I was supposed to do another slide. We have Star Trek news. This deserves a slide, but I forgot one. My bad. Season 3 at Strange New Worlds dropped a trailer this week. What'd y'all think? Trevor?
I'm okay. I tweeted something very sort of vague and shadowy when the trailer dropped, which was simply, I'm so glad social media wasn't around when TNG was out, because the negative, like, I'm excited. It looks fun. It looks like everything they said they were going to do. They've teased that they're like really leaning into the different genre every episode bit, and I'm here for it. The complete panic at like the gridded background of a holographic simulator, the people freaking out over the like, you haven't seen it yet. It's a trailer. Calm the fuck down. Watch the episode. If you don't like it, fine. You don't like it. Rant about it. But the pre-hating is annoying me to the point where I just didn't pay attention to social media, watch the trailer, and I'm excited for season 3.
Yeah. It got me pretty jazzed for it. Benji, how about you? What'd you think of the trailer? Or were you able to see it in Canada? Sorry if not.
I was allowed. Yeah, we get like the stuff that shows up on like across Paramount platforms now. We are allowed to see finally. How they figured it out. The geniuses at Paramount figured it out.
A different kind of Liberation Day.
Yeah.
The bad
Take
news.
that, tariffs.
I would say the bad news is you don't have to pay a tariff to watch it.
Yeah.
Because we got rid of all that DEI.
This country's a mess, and it's apt that we're talking about season 3 of Enterprise tonight. But Will, what do you think of the season 3 trailer of Strange New Worlds?
I don't know who makes these trailers, but they're terrible. Like, not they're terrible. They give you simultaneously too much, but not enough. Like, I would rather them do something kind of cool with, like, season 3 is coming, like a reveal and like a quick clip of something, or like something like the Enterprise whooshing. I don't need the clips of all the episodes, partly because I feel like it sets expectations. People start analyzing every frame of these trailers, and you're like, they did that with the last season, and they're like, this is happening on the, and I'm like, guys, who gives a shit? You're basing a whole episode on literally a tenth of a second of a clip of something that's out of context. But I also hate them. Like they're just bad. I'm like, what is this even saying? It gives nothing of the tone of the season. It tells you nothing about what's happening. I would just like a cool reveal and just tell us when it airs, and then that's it. Like, I don't need this thing where we're showing different shit from the episodes. I just don't need it. It's like I thought about it, it's like my favorite. If I was referring to, if Joanne was here, she'd be on my. We talk. There she is. Howdy, Joanne. I'm going to talk about this. So when they used to do they would do for like seasons of Drag Race, where they get all the queens together and do like a themed thing for the start of the trailer for the season, where they reveal the cast. That's better than them showing like clips from the season, because I was like, I don't need to see this. It tells me too much, but also simultaneously not enough. So just do something cool with the cast, doing something and maybe half a second of something and move on. I just hate these. I hate them. They're just terrible. They're terrible. They're just it's fucking stupid.
Well,
anyway, I'm so excited for it because I want more Star Trek. I just if I was in charge of their trailers, I'd be like, we're not doing that because it's fucking stupid.
I do feel like we are in need culture wide we are in need of a trailer culture shift, because now trailers have trailers, like a 10-second teaser trailer, which to me is insane. Whatever. I did find some interesting stuff about the trailer. I like that they had a clip from, what am I trying to say? Some of the clips, like, oh, this is fun. It looks like something different is happening with Pelia. Like, that was interesting. But then, like, a little bit from way too many episodes, it felt very all over the place. but still exciting. Like the grid thing didn't bother me at all. I definitely clocked it. And I was like, oh, maybe this is where Starfleet sees the technology in a more advanced way and buys it or whatever. Seeing Patton Oswalt was exciting. Like, to Will's point, maybe if they just gave us that, like, stills of him and whoever, like, give us something a little different than the regular trailer of a trailer kind of vibe. All that said, I am excited about it. I do wish they just, like, when is it coming? Summer is a 3-month period. Like, when is it? Like, is y'all finished filming it over a year ago? Is it not done? Like, can you not give us?
I heard it was August. I heard it was sometime it was like early August, but that
There
was
was
just like a rumor that was circulating.
Yeah, there was a blip because somebody, the internet, like Trevor said, the internet not existing 20 and 30 and 40 years ago was a good thing for the franchise, probably. But someone was talking to a chat agent on some website, the Paramount Plus of their country, basically. I don't know. I don't remember where it was. And they said, hey, when are you guys getting Star Trek Lower Decks? And the chat agent responded, I don't know, but Strange New World season 3 comes out August 1. And so that's what got it going. The company has since stated that that was a mistake, that it's not August 1. And presumably that would be after it goes out on Paramount Plus. So I'm still thinking June, maybe July, maybe August, but pushing it towards the later half of the year, given that Starfleet Academy isn't going to be ready until next year. But yeah, just tell us. It was like, the trailer was fine. It was fun, but just tell us. All right, that massive thing that I forgot to talk about aside, unless anybody has any other thoughts on the trailer before we move forward with tonight's very aggressive mission.
Just say no to pre-hating.
Just say no to pre-hating. Oh, that was thank you for that. That was my last thought. This clip was, to me, this trailer to me was very different than the like 2-minute clip that they gave us, where I know, Trevor, your point about trailers is the same for this clip, but I felt differently about it in that they gave us just enough to wonder, wait, do they think race and species equals the same as genetics? Like, giving some of them Vulcan genes does not make them assholes automatically, which is what it seemed like just from the clip. But Trevor's right. That's the only context we have. We need to see the full episode before we fully judge. So this trailer did better for me, getting me excited, than that clip did. That was the only point I wanted to make about it.
Also, not to go down a rabbit hole on that clip. I love how we're referring to it that way. But they also referred to the serum from the call center species. That, remember that I am blue. Can I help you? Those were the people that gave the serum that turned Spock back into a Vulcan from.
Oh,
it
right,
was
right,
not.
right, right, right.
It was not exclusively her. It was not exclusively Chapel's genetic shenanigans. Thank you, Krakowians. Thanks, Benji. It was a serum that turned him into a Vulcan. So it turned them into Vulcans. We don't know that it exclusively reacts genetically. Could there be something else to this serum that was not described simply as a genetic alteration, but rather literally turning them into Vulcan?
We're going to find out this summer. Get excited, everybody.
I hope it doesn't drop while we're like at STLV. Like can it be after STLV so that there's not like one episode and then we're all like just do it the second week of August. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, fun. All right, y'all. We're going to talk about Star Trek Enterprise, but before we do, we must set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
I love that audio clip. Indeed, we must set an intention, and to do so tonight, I thought it would be fun if we talked with Captain Archer one more time, because He annoys the hell out of me, so we're just gonna remove him from the equation once again. So for tonight, I would like to know, this episode, season 3's first episode, begins a season-long quest of Archer to become a bigger and bigger dick. So I'd like to know who in the Star Trek universe could have wrapped up this entire season-long arc in like an episode or two versus the 24 that it takes Archer to solve the problem. As always, I will start us off by sharing that I'm gonna lean into my brand and just go full Kira Nerys. Like, Kira would have resolved this problem in an episode and a half. The downside is that half the crew probably would have died, but she would have celebrated them as heroes, lit a couple candles, mourned them at a Bajoran altar for an extended period of time. But we would not have needed to watch an entire season of post 9/11 right-wing propaganda, which would have saved us all a lot of trouble. That said, let us go around the room. I would love to know who you think would do a significantly better job than Jonathan Archer. We'll start with you, Benji. Oh, Benji's on mute. Womp womp.
I think I muted myself rather than unmuted myself. And now I'm lost. I was realizing that the like by the law of streaming, it can't be any modern Trek series because they are like duty bound to do it in 10 episodes. So that would not be possible. So that leaves us with 2000s and earlier. But then I realized Captain Janeway would kill this off like handily in a two-parter. She would have gone like way too hard, completely lost her objectivity, blah 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 blah. You know the drill. But she would have done it. She would have killed it off. It would have made like a perfectly workable like mid-season Voyager two-parter, like Year of Hell. She'd get it done.
So far, we're establishing a trend that women can do it better. William, are you going to keep the trend going?
With women, I mean, when you set this intention, I was literally like, anybody. Like, I mean, I was like to Paul, like anybody. Like I was like, I would take fucking Barkley, like anybody other than him. It was just like anybody. But if I had to pick somebody, it would be Peanut Hamper. Anybody.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I am legitimately saying that. Like anybody, any other character would have done a better job.
So far, woman, female presenting AI, fearless leader.
Well, I will stick up for the men because who else will? No, I actually wrote down a list. I started with Cisco.
Agreed.
Ben Cisco, absolutely. I also said Janeway, and I put 7 of 9. I wanted to.
Ooh.
I figured somebody else would say Janeway, and yeah, I agree. The only reason I didn't put T'Pol is because of an episode we're going to talk about tonight, and it, in spite of my overall frustration with certain ways that they characterize her and Archer's over necessary vibe. In canon, it seems to suggest that a mistake is made under T'Pol's command in which their mission did not succeed. And that is not her failure. It is, she just happened to be in command, and that was the choice that needed to be made. And so I reluctantly accept it. And that's the only reason T'Pol wasn't on my list. But I do agree that maybe if she was in charge from the start, they wouldn't have ended up where that mistake happened. Hey, but a lovely intention setter as always, Trevor. The intentions are indeed set. Now, let's get into the season with our top thoughts. I will kick things off. There's a lot going on in this season. There was a lot going on in the world. It's a very interesting vibe shift, right? Because we had 2 seasons of, for the most part, forward-looking humans in the future. We're exploring, and slightly more upbeat looking future. And then due to ratings, this fledgling network said, do something different. And rather than leaning into the best of humanity, they seem to exemplify during the war on terror. This was 2003, 2004 era, post 9/11. Like rewatching this season now in 2025 with a President Donald Trump was an interesting experience because it felt very Team America, World Police. Archer, while he was an asshole in season 1 and 2, becomes a bit of a xenophobic dick in this season. And there are several episodes where there's glimmers of hope of him regaining his humanity that we'll get into when we talk about them, but he never quite does. He doesn't go completely off the deep end yet. I think he will next week, if I recall correctly. I haven't gotten into those episodes yet, but there's religious phobia here. There's we gotta get them no matter the cost here. It's just kind of gross in a lot of places. They're still treating T'Pol like shit. She is just there to be beautiful. And I forgot how the nudging of her and Trip together, how problematic it's executed. It's a mess. But there are some good things here. There's some interesting stories being told. And while Trek has always provided an allegory for the time, like I said, the season 3 feels like they're leaning in the wrong direction while still being allegorical to the time. It would have been nice to see a Star Trek lean into the diplomatic side and less of the like, let's go SEAL Team 6, the Xindi. But we'll get into it. William, what were your top thoughts on this season?
It's interesting looking at it now, 20 years past, knowing the context of this. Like it asks us question: can Star Trek exist in a post 9/11 world, where we had shows that were much darker, they were grittier. This was kind of the trend of media at the time. The thing that sticks out to me is this shit is written poorly. Like the first half of this season is like the first time that I think the actual writing is bad. Like before, it was just that they're kind of they were reheating a lot of old episodes and kind of trying to frame them differently because it's a prequel and it's new to them. But like we've seen this before about four shows in a row now, so it does feel like there's no like knowing now how we have television and how we have story arcs and the way things are constructed now, and then kind of they had an opportunity here to look at the world we were in, and then instead of going, we're leaning into the kind of the worst parts of humanity, this dark, angry, aggressive, scared, desperate nature that people had, especially in this time. It was so strange thinking back on it now, where it was like, oh, we were totally cool with invading these countries and doing all this stuff, and like, and it to have them fall into this, they start at 10 here. They don't fall into they don't eventually start making more desperate choices to stop them. They immediately start doing horrible things off the bat. And it just seems so, it's just crap. I just found myself really hating it. I don't mean to be so dour about this, but I found myself finding very little redeemable. My thumb's going to be down a lot of the time, I think. I found very little redeemable from the first half of this season. Like, thank God for Jolene Blaylock, because I think she's the only person who's actually acting. Everyone else here is literally one note the whole time, and that note is dissonant and it's screeching, and she's the only person. And it would have been nice to have her as the center of this, being like, you cannot let your emotions dictate how you're behaving, that you have to act better. Like you have to think outside of your own emotions. And that is such an incredible statement to make on a show that is post 9/11.
Mhm.
And like a show that is supposed to be about optimism and the finding humans finding their better nature and doing things that are, you know, for the good of others. This is such a dour, dark, annoying thing. And like there's some interesting things that they're trying, but I think it's so poorly executed that it doesn't matter what they're doing.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It was very hard to get through. I'll say that. I found myself like ignoring it as it played in the background. Like I would literally do anything. I reorganized my drawers in my bedroom because I was like, I can't watch this anymore. I've been putting it off for months. Anyway, I'm done talking about this. Benchy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I did a bit of closet organizing myself actually, so I'm with you. Yeah, there are kind of two things going on here. Like one is that like ratings were suffering. It was like we've been saying, a tired show. So they like really wanted to shake things up. So they decided that they were going to go like balls to the wall weird this season with like this indie and doing a season-long plot arc and all that. And then yes, they wanted to try to make it relevant by doing their 9/11 season, whatever. And the way they did that was by making Scott Bakula George W. Bush. And the entire season is very sympathetic to George Bush Jr., as I used to call him. It tries to like grapple with like when Bush was asking Americans to like be willing to let them do some uncomfortable things like torture or growing a sacrificial clone in this case. But like, you know, like Star Trek should be showing us a better way. It could have been tackling the rampant Islamophobia that was happening on the time. And it didn't do any of that. Like it's exactly like you said, like you get to the end of the season, which we will, and it hasn't done much to grapple with those things or try to do better. So
oh dear. I think I mentioned this last week where I when we got to the season finale of season 2, where I just said, like, as a person, first of all, as the oldest person on Earth, let alone the oldest person in this room, I like being a grown ass man when 9/11 happened. Like this was too soon. Like their whole like let's show a natural this hostile disaster happening, a terrorist attack unfolding on Earth a couple of years after, like there were still people whose bodies hadn't been found. Like this is just like, no, like we shouldn't be doing this. But I ranted about that last week. This week I'm going to rant about the fact that in retrospect, this series, particularly this season, does not get nearly the amount of criticism that newer Trek gets. And I get it. It's on air now, so there's a little bit of a different feeling versus something that was on 20 some years ago. But the lack of vitriol that goes toward what I earlier described as right-wing propaganda, which is basically what this entire season is. It's let's not only justify horrible things, but let's make it entertaining and incorporate it into Star Trek, is so anti-Star Trek. People ripped apart Section 31. People have ripped apart Star Trek Discovery. People have ripped apart so many different aspects of Starfleet doing things that isn't always shown in Star Trek. But they completely skip over the criticism of this. And I'm only left with one conclusion. It's the right wing one that's run by a white guy. So we don't criticize it because the lead is a white man. And so clearly it must be well-intentioned. It's gross. It's anti-Star Trek. I don't like this season. That's going to be reflected in not only my thumbs, but in my words. I won't rant beyond what is supposed to be a short segment of our top thoughts, but I will just say this season is icky. It's not very good Star Trek. It's not even good science fiction. And you're going to hear more about that as we go into each episode.
Indeed, you will. And with that, let's get into our thumb war. Quick refresher. We're going to go episode by episode, the first half, and Trevor is going to read a synopsis of said episode that he did not write. They may be good, they may be bad, somewhere in between. And then we will discuss and vote in the only scientifically sound voting method with our thumbs. Ups, downs, or sideways. And to be created at another time, because I forgot, Quantum Torpedo destroy this episode thumb somehow. I'll figure it out. Anyway, let's get into it.
Season 3, Episode 1, The Xindi. It has been 6 weeks since Enterprise's new mission began, and the crew have made virtually no progress. Spoiler alert, neither have the writers. Now they may have a lead, as Enterprise is en route to a mining colony, which is supposed to house a Xindi worker. However, an attempt to learn more about the race threatening Earth leads Archer and Trip into a trap, as Admiral Akbar would say. Sorry, wrong Star franchise. That's it. It's weird. I don't know why this particular description is so lengthy, but there it is.
Benji, why don't you kick things off for this season? What were your thoughts on the Xindi, the episode, not the species?
Well, I am struggling to have any because I literally watched this 2 days ago and I cannot remember it. I wrote something down about the trip into was this the episode where do they immediately put Trip and T'Pol together? Like they coax them together in this one, or is that later? I wrote something down about them.
I think so. It's he's having trouble sleeping, and so Phlox asks T'Pol.
Okay, I wrote down. I made a note because they Phlox had him bring her report on a pad or something.
Yeah, and
I was like, I think even the writers at this point had email, and so there is no excuse in Enterprise for them to be delivering pads by hand. Give them a pass. Maybe still in DS9 earlier on. I don't know. So yes, they did. It's creepy and weird the way they did it, but I have to say they're one of my favorite couples in Trek. So I'm assuming it gets better. I think they have really good chemistry.
Similar to Kira and Odo, I don't like the way it was executed in some parts, particularly the episode where it happens, but generally I like the idea of them as a couple.
Yeah, you got a rough and tumble guy from the south and a prissy Vulcan. I mean, come on, it's great.
This episode, what was rough for me was Archer. You're 6 weeks in and you're still on pins and needles dick mode. Your tactical officer is suggesting caution, and you're like, where are we? We're in the command center. And why did Starfleet build it? So that we could find the Xindi, and we haven't. And so we're going to, and I don't care if he was not great, blah, blah, blah. Girl, grow up. Him and Trip, at least, not that you need an immediate family member to pass in order to feel a certain kind of way about these attacks. I certainly did about 9/11, but not in a let's go kill everybody kind of way. He just completely forgets his humanity. He was already an asshole, and now he's an asshole losing his humanity. And we see it from the jump here. So it was weird. Will, any thoughts on this episode?
Just it's so haphazardly put together, this episode. It's like they took every element they needed right then and we're doing it right now for everyone. And it's okay, we immediately meet the Xindi. They show them almost immediately this episode. And it's there's no mystery. It's just not plotted well. It's you can't decide to do a whole season arc and then not sit there and plot the whole fucking thing out. It's just, they immediate, this show starts at a 10 and I'm just for the love of God, Like, give us somewhere to go. Like, it's just here immediately. And like it's just it left a really terrible taste in my mouth this episode. Because I'm just like, ugh.
Trevor, any thoughts?
That's the weirdest segue into me saying there's like, if Trip is having trouble sleeping, I could think of a much better way to help him relax.
Indeed. And I would like to see it.
Problematic day alert.
Sorry, that was really a really well placed.
The biggest problem with this episode is that it sets up something that never pays off. Like, let's deal with Archer's feeling that he's losing his humanity, but we never actually get to the part where he says, I feel like I've lost my humanity. Like, he's just a raging asshole that we've never met before for an entire season, and then when it's over, he's back to normal. But also brought his beagle along again in the world's most dangerous mission. Dude, leave your dog at home.
Insane.
Like, I'm sorry, Rigel is like my son. He's not going with me into the Expanse after the people that just blew up Trip's sister. Like, that's not how this is going to work. So,
and that video of the Vulcans going nuts, like, no.
The number of things that happened to this ship this season, and that dog is just sitting there on a dog bed eating cheese. It's not okay. If I could travel back in time, like they're going to clumsily do in a couple of episodes, I would call PETA on this horrible cat. I'm sure there's a version of it in the 22nd century. It's not okay.
Considering most dogs like hate thunder, like just occasional thunder.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine how like he wouldn't have any fur left by the end of the...
I've done a whole bit on how the children of the Enterprise D all must like curl up in a ball and cry every time they hear a red alert klaxon or anything that sounds like
the
one.
Trauma.
That poor dog.
My headcanon here is that Porthos must be trained to go into a crate that we just don't see. A well-cushioned, like acoustically sound something.
Okay, but flashback to last week's episode, or last week's Salon. Clearly not trained to not piss on idols on planets where that would lead to the death penalty.
Well, that was a tree. They didn't know, but Archer should have known. To your point, like, oh God, he's dumb.
He's dumb.
All right, let's see those thumbs. Blech. Fair enough.
Oh no, our first tiebreaker on our first episode.
I'll give it a sideways.
Okay.
I'm biased to the season as a whole, but this episode wasn't completely terrible.
Yeah, it sets it up. It does a nice job of setting up something that they never actually do anything with. That being said, season 3, episode 2, Anomaly. The Enterprise is crippled by waves of destructive anomalies that distort the laws of physics while searching for the Xindi. And Ventaxian pirates attack the ship. Oh no, not the Ventaxians.
Episode 2 being filler is so wild.
It's a choice.
I remember nothing else about this episode except just that synopsis. Like, I guess it shows that the Expanse is bad, but like, why start 6 weeks into the mission and not just say that the last 2 episodes were like within the first 2 weeks? Like, it's weird. I don't know. I have no other thoughts. Shall we proceed to a vote?
Yeah.
They mentioned stem bolts, I noticed, but they were not self-sealing. So I consider that good continuity. They have not gotten to self-sealing technology yet. That is
in that case, thumbs up.
Yeah. Thumbs up for the technology. Let's see those thumbs for the episode, though. Yeah.
You can go to the comments. You don't have to change your vote.
Tell us in the comments.
First one to break the tie. When it's that forgettable, it's a sideways from Joel. So
there you go.
All right.
Sideways.
We'll allow it.
All right.
Retro symbols. That's awesome.
This episode.
Season 3. I mean, great choice of photos, by the way.
Thank you.
Season 3, episode 3, Extinction. Archer, Reed, and Hoshi are exposed to a highly contagious virus that transforms their bodies, minds, and memories into those of long extinct aliens from a tropical world. I don't know why we needed.
Vacation.
I don't know why we needed to know that part.
The image in the center that I chose of Archer getting shot by T'Pol, first of all, or Reed, I don't know which one. It is so fucking funny. The makeup choices in this episode, chef's kiss, if you were going for adding humor to this very dark season. I don't know that they were, though.
Honest to God, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. I'm very sorry, but just go ahead and get the button ready, because that would be my face if I were in between Trip and Trap.
You just being very ravenous.
God.
Problematic gay alert.
Yeah. You'd have to stun Trevor to get him off.
Stun wouldn't work.
I wouldn't need help getting off in that example.
Problematic gay alert.
Indeed. We get a moment of Travis in charge. That was cool. We get Trip shirtless. That's always nice. But my goodness, this was the episode where I was like, oh, we get a touch of Archer clawing back at his humanity when he doesn't want to delete the data that they found. It's like this civilization created this virus to try and save itself. I'm not going to be the one to destroy them. We're literally on a mission trying to save our civilization. So let's go fuck up the Zindi. It's just like the weird juxtaposition there. There was an opportunity there. They almost get there. But again, a weird episode. Will, your thoughts?
This is. I'm like looking at my notes on this, and I'm just like, I didn't have much to say on this one. I was like, cool, alien transformation episode, and then the only good thing about it's just I don't know. I don't have anything to say. This was stupid. It was a stupid episode. Like, the only good thing was that moment at the end with Archer where he's like, I'm not going to destroy them. Yeah. Would be interesting. But again, it's so poorly written. It was like 3 different episodes of Star Trek we've already seen. It was Genesis. It was The Inner Light. It was, 5 episodes of Voyager. It's like, it's the same thing.
So what was the point? What was the point in not giving them the cure? So like they're gonna just keep roasting people alive.
I think the cure would have apparently the cure would have completely eradicated the possibility of the civilization coming back. Like I didn't get it either. It was like
it was a worse version of that other episode with the Mank. But anyway,
yeah.
I remembered this one as being my least favorite episode of Enterprise. I actually don't think it was quite as horrible, but I think the thing that really ruins it and puts it over the edge for me is Scott Bakula's annoying, just baffling fucking performance.
Yeah.
Listening,
he's a better actor than this episode, certainly, and I think better than the character overall. Like I just don't know where
it's like, even when he's playing Archer, when he's depicting Archer, it's like he's just narrating his lines. That's a super weird choice. And then this was just like, I can't listen to the episode because his delivery is so fucking annoying. I did write down that I thought at the end when he was like just had like a little bit of makeup left on his face, he looked kind of hot for some reason. I don't know what that was about.
Just a little touch of color.
Yeah.
Trevor, any thoughts, or shall we vote?
Just 2 thoughts. One, this episode would have been 1,000 times better if the physical changes were either more subtle or less Neanderthal.
Mm.
And the like, what if it actually made all of them communicate at a higher level of intelligence, or communicate at a this could have been an interesting sci-fi story. Instead, the season already leaning into something problematic, it makes it more problematic. I don't know. There was just a different way of doing this that would have worked significantly better.
Yeah, it is wild that this is a clearly an advanced race that found a way to reignite their culture.
Yeah.
In another generation, and yet it comes off very primitive. Very this society could not have created this. I mean, that's certainly my bias coming out from the perspective, from the performance, but yeah, it just missed the mark on that. I think you're right. If they had gone with a higher intelligence kind of thing, like we need to
Or at
stop
least a higher-
evolving.
Higher presenting.
Yeah,
I don't know what was going on, but behind the bad makeup job. Sorry, Michael Westmore. So that was my first thought. My second thought was, Travis in charge is exactly my thought when I see the image that I said was me in the middle of the other two. Anyway.
Problematic day alert.
Trevor has a mission of his own tonight.
It is what it is, folks. But I'm going to be a lot nicer than Scott Bakula. Okay, moving on. Oh, we never waited. We never rated.
Vote.
Oh yeah.
Shit, we're just moving on.
Everybody show those thumbs.
Another tie.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Audience, we need your help. First one to their keyboard wins.
Drag her down.
Down.
Google says down.
Okay, we're gonna call it down.
All right.
What is the name of this episode?
Regine.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was saying it right.
Raging.
I did not rewatch this one recently, but I have seen it many times. Season 3, episode 4, Regine. Right off the bat, Google. A slave girl, Regine, uses her mental powers on the crew to steal information on humans for her Zindi overlords. And Trip and T'Pol attempt to insulate the ship from further destruction from a physical phenomenon. This is so poorly written.
That last part was so close, but generally this one, yeah, that was the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave the images up for a quick moment to just share my quick gripe, and then I swear I'm not going to speak first on every episode. This episode pissed me off for the sexism of it. It's very 60s track. It's very what they did to T'Pol that pisses me off generally. Her starting out in this yarn bikini, fine, whatever. She's a slave girl on this planet being sold. That makes sense. And yet, when they get her to the ship, we know several episodes from now, they have jumpsuits available that are not the regular crew uniform. And so they rescued this woman. They didn't go back to her hovel and get what few bikinis she had. And so in that second image there, you see her in this weird ass dress. And next to that, you have her in a most ridiculous set of pajamas. Like Jolene was quoted as saying, you can do tits and ass, but you can't replace story with tits and ass. And they get dangerously close to doing that. And the thing that really pisses me off is you see in that fourth image, the Zindi even get her, like it's a cat suit, but her skin is at least covered. Why is it she's on a Starfleet ship with less clothing on than these evil Zindi that we're trying to hunt down? There are bigger problems with this episode, but that was high on my list. Trevor, what were your thoughts on Regine?
It's just, it's just bad. It's just, like, it's clumsy. It's weird. We have this stunning woman as a regular character, two stunning women as regular characters, but one of whom is always scantily clad, or sucked into a catsuit, who we just overuse the sexiness of it all. So what do we need in this war story? a sexier, more scantily clad person. Like it's
To mind rape her.
it's this episode. I don't know what it's called, and I'm not going to make you create a video specifically for it, but it deserves its own problematic something alert. Like it's just
And not a playful one.
like, guys, we're in the middle of a war and we have to save Earth. Let's all drool over this hot lady for 60 minutes. Like, it's weird. Who's honestly watching the writer's room pitch in the DS9 documentary, where like every idea is like yes anded and they just keep building off of worse and worse ideas.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like that's how this episode was created, and now I get it. So writers' rooms full of men, this is the product you get.
I do like that it sort of insinuates that the Zindi clocked these people. They're like, put a sexy woman on that ship. They'll tell her everything. Will or Benji.
Yeah, this was stupid. I didn't write anything on here. I said, sluts in space. Like, girl, like the fuck? Like, it's weird. Like this would be like a good point to like kind of give us a little bit of like the Zindi's point of view a little bit. Or like be like, oh, she was hired by them, and they're like, why? And they're like, because they were curious about you and they wanted your genetic information, even though like it would be weird that they're like, oh, we're gonna attack you first and then get information on you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would be weird that it was like, oh, we attacked you, but we're starting to collect your, we're trying to collect a hair, skin, and stool sample. It's like okay. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, cool. Like, it would be interesting if she's there to spy on them or something, and like they know that the Zindi know that they're there, but like there's no like, it's just kind of, and then the sexism just makes this episode really just irredeemable. And like just fuck Rick Berman, dude. This was like such a weird episode, and then it's like, ooh, now we get to have two sexy ladies in there. Now they look like they might kiss. It's like, it's fucking gross. It's
if it wasn't for everything else that they do and do to Paul, like a little bit of sexy spy work, like it could work, but the execution on top of it being so rampant throughout the entire show, especially this season, it's just weird.
It's just gratuitous. It's like it's like they had half an idea and then they were like, oh, but like we have half this kind of idea of this like spy that's on there that's somehow human, and like oh, we're gonna have her do. It's a weird. It's half baked, and then they're like, they don't have a plot, so they're just like, okay, let's just make the just really gratuitous female sexuality in this episode because they needed to be sexy because they're trying to appeal to 18 to 35-year-olds. It's like, okay, cool.
Shall we vote?
Yeah.
Let's see those thumbs. It's a unanimous down.
The season's off to a great start.
I will say I did like that actress. I wish they gave her something better to do.
Yeah. She was lovely. She didn't write this episode.
She was lovely. Early 2000 style is not.
Yes.
Good call. Season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3, episode 5, that visual representative of what Stan wishes Archer would do to him. Archer and his team board a damaged Vulcan vessel adrift in an asteroid field and filled with zombie-like creatures. It's a horrible way to describe what happened to the Vulcan crew, but there it is. I didn't write it.
Let's go to Benji first this round.
I think, as I remember, I think they like specially hired a horror director for this episode because they wanted it to be extra horror-y. I think they kind of pulled it off, visually, like the visual portrayal of fear and terror and the movement of the Vulcan zombies was cool. The zombie makeup was like I thought really effective. So yeah, I think the direction was really good. I think Jolene got to show some like pretty good range in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I am not a fan of horror generally, but
No,
seeing
yeah.
horror in Trek was interesting. It was like I rewatching it now, I was like, oh, this is a little scary. Like I was fine. It wasn't like jump scare, but I was worried for T'Pol. Like I think this episode did really well. I think if it had come earlier, it could have launched the season a little bit better. It could have shown the stakes of what's going on and the risk T'Pol is taking by staying. And yeah, I will say Archer could choke me. Why not?
Problematic day alert.
Trevor, your thoughts on this episode?
Unlike, I don't know Will's opinion on the genre, but unlike Benji and Stan, I enjoy horror. And this episode, it falls into a very, first of all, it's unique in that it's a season 3 episode that I don't hate. It doesn't do T'Pol a disservice. It's not an insult to Jolene, which I appreciate, and actually lets her flex a little bit, which is fun, because staying reserved requires a whole lot of eye acting and not a lot of emoting, and so letting her show us what she can do is fun, and I enjoy that and appreciate this episode for it. And it also fits into a small, there's only a few Star Trek episodes that we can say fall into the same category. So I'm reminded of Night Terrors. I'm reminded of a couple of Genesis. There are a few others that kind of I will not include Threshold because body horror and horror are not the same thing. I don't dislike it. It feels a little like this episode should have preceded the season-long arc. Like, oh no, see, the Expanse is dangerous. And then 4 episodes later, oh crap, we have to go into the Expanse. Would have been probably more powerful in terms of making the season seem scary instead of the season seeming just militaristic and sort of, I don't know, life-threatening. But yeah, I don't dislike it. I enjoy it for the Jolene stuff, and I enjoy the genre.
Will, your thoughts on Impulse?
Yeah, this was the one episode I'm revisiting that I actually liked more. And it's only because I think it's actually well directed, and I think Jolene is providing a performance that's actually like kind of sets her up for the rest of the season. And there are stakes involved where you're kind of like, oh, is she not going to be here? And like the zombies and the Vulcans, and it's dangerous. Like it feels like at this point there are stakes that it's like not only are they trying to find the Xindi, they're doing it in a place that's unknown and terrifying. And the Vulcans being kind of the most dominant, technologically advanced species at this point in the Star Trek universe. To have them taken down so brutally by this area of space is very interesting in terms of stakes. And this is like the direction that the show should have taken and been more creepy and eerie and like more mystery instead of it being like a bunch of dudes in weird speckly jumpsuits firing a gun. Like it should have moved a little more into this, because that's more interesting than like the mystery element's more interesting. The horror stuff's more interesting. The creepy stuff is more interesting than the like bang bang shoot 'em up stuff.
And the few times they've done that, they've done it really well when they've gone in that direction, like with whatever the hell that station was called,
Yeah, well, this shit's terrifying. Like going out in space and like people dying horrible deaths in space. Like how often do we have some random red shirt get fucking killed in the most awful way possible, or someone get beamed through a floor or some fucking shit? Like that's the thing that it's like that shit's terrifying. Running into aliens who will drink your blood, like that shit's crazy. So like, I mean that, like, this is the time that I think the season got it right. But I think it despite itself.
Yeah. The only Speaking of the Makos for a second, because we haven't talked about them, it's an interesting idea. Seeing them get folded into Starfleet in season 5 would have been interesting with the Romulan War arc, as they I imagine they do at some point, since they don't exist in later series. I like the guy; he was hot, but there's also a thing. We see it later in the season between Reed and Hayes. A little too late for them to still be bitchy to me, but in this episode, I liked the moment with the Mako about to go and kill the Vulcans when T'Pol has to say, no, we're here on a rescue mission. I would have liked for him to not have asked the captain to confirm the order, or for the captain to say, you heard her. You heard our first officer. Follow her orders. Rather than just say, yeah, I agree with her. Like, no, you need to follow her orders. I do think, even though there's that weird moment, it's an interesting thing this season. They've given us so little Reed and so little Travis. Them in that place could have been interesting. Them having their fear triggered in this moment to the point where they want to kill those Vulcans and they have to potentially defy T'Pol would have been interesting. But other than that, I really enjoyed this episode. Shall we see those thumbs? It's a near unanimous thumbs up. 3 ups and a sideways.
Season 3, Episode 6, Exile. A lonely telepath begs Hoshi to visit his faraway planet in exchange for information on the Xindi, then refuses to allow the linguist to leave.
Coerces her, not begs.
Yeah.
Will, why don't you kick this one off?
I don't remember this one at all. Tells you everything I need to know about it. I like that Hoshi got an episode, but yeah, it's fine. It's weird, but it's fine. I don't really have much to say. I hate to kick that one off, but
that's fine. Trevor, what were your thoughts?
It comes very close to being a clever and sort of unique sci-fi concept, except Sequest did it in 1994.
Also, Beauty and the Beast.
And what's really awkward, and well, also Beauty, the series or the film or both?
All of the above.
All of the above. Also, and I don't say this often about Sequest, but Sequest did it better. It's really weird that Sequest, which ripped off every sci-fi show that came before it, particularly in its second season, which is when
Under the Water,
when the episode in question occurred, was in the second season with a character who was basically Deanna Troi, and they still managed to be more successful than this episode. So it's like, oh, you're finally giving us a Hoshi episode, but you're making her Beauty in the Beauty and the Beast tale, and we already had Dr. Smith pull this one off in 1995. Like it would have been great and interesting and different, and then they inundated it with tropes and
that paper thin dress and the high heels as she goes out on that cold ass mountain. Like what? Come on.
Also, what a great episode to showcase how she's been training with the Makos in martial arts, and she's been doing make her. Yes, she's brilliant because she speaks like 4 kajillion languages. That's awesome. But could we make her more formidable than she is?
Yeah, kick his ass.
Yeah, it could have worked, but it didn't.
It doesn't go far enough. I think that's the thing too. Mm-hmm. It takes an idea, but it doesn't push it into any interesting territory or far enough into it.
She should have gone full Dom. You want me to stay, bitch?
He would have so responded to that. Oh my god.
I'm gonna choke you like Archer.
Yeah. People have been saying Beauty and the Beast here and in the chat. I was like working on an alternate title. I came up with The Incel of Notre Dame.
Yes.
But yeah, I basically had the same experience. It's like it started out where I was like, oh, maybe this wasn't as bad as I remembered. Like it's interesting sci-fi concept. And then yeah, as the episode progresses, by the time you get to the end, it just sort of like loses any of interest.
And the explanation was so weird too. It's like you've been exiled, but here's something that lets you force your mind into other people. What?
Yeah.
Gross.
Why?
Yeah. Why?
Which is the moral of this whole episode. Why?
Shall we vote? Let's see those thumbs. Bloop. It's a near unanimous sideways. 3 sideways and a down.
Season 3, episode 7, The Shipment. Archer, Reed, and Major Hayes infiltrate a Xindi sloth plant that synthesizes vital explosive material for the Xindi superweapon. And Trip, T'Pol, and Dr. Phlox run tests on captured Xindi firearms.
The Xindi sloth is.
I'm just like, I have an image that is conjured when that is said, and it's William Shatner. I'm sorry. No.
That was the Xindi arboreal, not Xindi sloth. Trevor, what were your thoughts on this episode?
At least they're leaning into the concept of this season, and they're giving us something a little different. Like if this were a 10 episode arc like we would see in modern Trek, this episode actually would have worked more, because it's like, oh, we're leaning into finding elements that make up the weapon. We're leaning into their that would have been
episode
interesting.
2 or 3.
Yeah, and which works in a serialized storytelling situation, wherein a la Star Trek Discovery season 1, where like there are certain episodes that stand out and certain ones that just need to tell you certain plot points, and this one just tells certain plot points. And in a 24 episode season, that just doesn't work for me. If you ask me what this episode's about, I'm like, it's the one where the 3 guys go on the thing and the stuff happens. Like it doesn't have to use a weird phrase for me to use, there's no meat on the bone on this one. Like it just doesn't. It just doesn't. There's nothing lasting about it that stands out. I don't hate it, but I also don't have anything meaningful to say, because it's just sort of there.
Will, how about you?
Yeah, I was just reading my notes on this one. I thought it was fine. It was unoffensive. I think it's the first time we actually got a little bit of plot for this.
Yeah.
Like it felt a little like, oh, now we're on this. We're back on the Xindi thing. Like it felt like a nice return to it. The characterization of the Xindi is having like character. They are not the characters aren't just 2-dimensional. Like we're getting a little bit of depth from them is really nice too. Yeah. Again, it's another instance where I feel like it could have gone a little bit further. I think it was entertaining, but it could have gone a little bit further in terms of like up the stakes of this, like the moral dilemma of this, the kind of it doesn't seem to push into the subject matter far enough for me for it to be like, oh great. Like it's compared to how lackluster the beginning of this season has been, this is like a good episode, but I think only compared to the fact that everything before it has been a literal turd. So it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, they at least give us like, there's at least, oh, not all Xindi. These humans are finally learning like, oh, these aren't a monolith. These alien species are not a monolith. This one helped us. This one didn't know that the materials he was creating were going to be used in a weapon, because this material can be used in any number of ways, which is a very real world thing. You know, there are a lot of elements on this planet that are not going to blow up the planet, but then you mix them just right and you get plutonium or whatever. I am clearly not a scientist, but yeah. you get my meaning. we get to learn the arboreals this arboreal is not down to kill an entire species. He had no idea that that's how this substance that he mines or refines was going to be used and helps our humans find the weapon. So it at least softens the Zindi a little bit.
Yeah.
Any chemists in our audience should send complaints to stan@salon.com.
That is fair. You understood my point, though. Benji, any thoughts on this episode before we vote?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like again, my one note was just exactly what you said, which is like not all Zindi are the same. I think one thing they had an entire season to do this, so they could have put it in somewhere. But like we do have an episode where isn't there like an episode where they meet like Suliban like families and stuff like that? Like they need an episode where maybe they meet like Zindi family and are like embedded in their culture or something like that. Like something like that would have really shored up. Yeah, it could have really shored up this season, and it could have really made them seriously grapple with their mission quite a bit. And the fact that I think this is kind of the only thing that we get, except there will be an episode where I think we talk about Degra's children or something like that, where we kind of touch on it, but like not nearly enough. Like you really need something like that can like really pull, like squeeze your heart and be like, make you question why you're doing that.
Yeah.
And we don't really ever get there. So maybe we could have here, but we don't. I really do like, I remember liking this episode. I think particularly I like the main sloth dude. Like I like that actor, and I liked his chemistry with Bakula in this. So I thought that was good, but yeah. That's
it was a great performance from Bakula too.
Yeah.
Want to give credit where credit's due, because I call him an asshole all the time. This was a good episode for him to soften a little bit.
It's not Bakula's fault. It's
100%.
Yeah, the Bakula's great, but Archer not so much.
Yeah.
The Bakula.
The Bakula. Let's see those thumbs. All right, 3 sideways and an up. That's a sideways.
In Salon math, that's a sideways. Season 3, episode 8. I just saw Bakula titties in the background.
Problematic day alert.
I'm not gonna lie, I literally couldn't remember what I was reading because I got distracted by Bakula shirtless. It happens. Anywho, season 3, episode 8, Twilight. No, not that Twilight. After an accident on the Enterprise, Archer loses his short-term memory and begins to wake up every day not remembering anything from the day before.
Interesting that it ends there. I love this episode, even though it has this Archer is the most important person in the universe trope that I absolutely hate, cannot agree with. It makes no fucking sense. I will allow it. Like we said earlier, somebody fixed it for me with like, okay, this one mistake led to whatever. It wasn't her fault, but this was it's an interesting concept that we have seen before, but I think it falls in the right place in the season to show us the stakes, to show us what happens if they don't succeed in a sci-fi way. And Jolene just acts her whole pussy out. Like, she is so fucking phenomenal. I love everything about her performance in this episode. And then I absolutely revile the final scene when it's back in our regular time and Archer's in sickbay and asks her for a pillow that's literally right next to him and to turn down the light that he could have done himself. And then he says, not in an actually faithful way, but in a very douchey, oh, you're taking care of me. You would be a good nurse. Nurses deserve more respect than that snide-ass version of that backhanded compliment, and so does T'Pol. that bitchiness aside, I love this episode. I understand T'Pol developing feelings over many years for this amnesiac. So I'll allow it. But it could have been weird. It could have been worse. Particularly on this season. And I thought they executed this particular story very well to demonstrate the stakes. And we get a fun what if scenario with the future human colony and what happens with Reed and Trip and Hoshi and all that. So some fun stuff and good stuff with Phlox. He didn't get a lot this season, but the hero in this along with T'Pol for sure.
Okay, except I'm just gonna go. You just because you said Phlox is the hero. At the end of the episode, Archer ends up saving himself. So like Phlox comes up with the treatment, then like Archer has to finish the job, and it's like first Phlox gets pecked off, then T'Pol gets picked off, and then it's up to fucking Archer, and then he gets shot.
Yeah.
And he's like grabbing for the controls, gets shot again, grabbing the controls.
Yeah.
So
Him getting his hero moment,
They-
even as an amnesiac, it was fine.
Whew.
You're right. Although I will say that was Trip's fault. Because remember, Trip was like, in 2 hours, the Zindi might be here, so we can't give you the warp drive. Like, if he had literally said, okay, go, do it now,
Oh, sure, but like
it doesn't work, we're gonna need it. It's Trip's fault.
But they
Keep-
bring the whole episode back to Archer. Like the writers bring the whole thing back to Archer at the end of the episode. And I thought it was like the number of times he gets shot and keeps like reaching for the control panel was a little unbelievable. They kind of lost me at that point. I do think I think this is, I can't remember all of the episodes for the rest of the season. I think this is definitely the best of the first half that we're talking about now. Agree, this is like a tour de force for T'Pol. She has to go through like all kinds of different personas again, because that's what they do with Vulcans. I think the ponytail really works for her. Looks great. I like that like future her is sort of like acts kind of lighter, like she's different, she's a different person, she's embracing more humanity. Great choice there. I also I sometimes get tired of time travel episodes, and I thought this was a really, really innovative way to do time travel. Like this was a really clever idea. Like whoever on the writing staff came up with this, like bravo, this was a really interesting concept, I thought. Ocean would have been
Great, Joanne.
commander. Why the fuck was she a lieutenant? And then stabbing his Indy with the Zephyr Cochran statue.
That was great. They should have had her in that uniform the whole time. She looked great in it. You can cinch it, and she still looks sexy as hell.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say, and I'll turn it to Will, is that they explain well that she becomes the caretaker for a reason. It could have been her. He saved her life. She's repaying a debt. Whatever. It wasn't some overtly sexist nonsense of whatever.
It was logical.
It was logical. It wasn't like I fell in love with him. Blah blah blah. That happened later. Will, tear it apart. I see your face.
Yeah. No. Well, no. I mean, I think this is the best written episode of the first part of the season. Like, it's the only one that, spoiler alert, I'm going to give a thumbs up to. But I will say that I think Scott Bakula's a terrible actor. And I think that he's again, this is the best season of the season, at least at this point. And I think it's a very low bar to clear. Sorry. But this show is continually anchored by T'Pol and Jolene Blaylock, who is like constantly mistreated in like a way where it's like she's disrespected as like a character, and like it feels like it's almost personal to Jolene for some reason. Like the nurse comment at the end is so gross. It's like, okay, like it was the way Bakula delivered it that was the problem, not the line itself. He could have said caretaker or nurse is fine. So, you make a good nurse, which is like, it should be something meant like her bedside manner or something, that it was like, but the way he said it, it was like, why are you being a fucking dick? Like, it's a little weird, but like, I remember this episode, for some reason, I thought it came later in the season. I think I'm thinking of E squared, but like I thought those were flipped or something. But like this is like the best way to have shown the stakes of what's happening and what the Zindi are going to do.
Mhm.
And it's like the best way they could have done it. I think that again they could have gone a little bit further into it. And as a time travel episode, it's pretty like standard play in that regard. But it's great, and I think the SETI Alpha 5 reference in it is really clever. So but yeah, no, this is by far the best episode. It could have gone just a little bit further into it, but again, it's good. It's the best written episode of the season.
Any other thoughts before voting?
This episode actually would have made a better season 3 arc.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very Year of Hell could have been a few more episodes kind of vibe.
Yeah, like what I periodically think about this season is something they corrected in the next season, but not because of, but for budget reasons, where they did like extended mini arcs where there was like a plot point they developed over a few episodes. This season would have done great with that idea.
Yes.
Like, oh, we could have an episode with the colony. We could have had a handful of episodes with them traveling back in time. We could have an episode, like a series of horror episodes with T'Pol. Like, we could have had little chunks of time with this, because I feel like because it has to get over in an hour, I think they're discussing bigger ideas that may need a little more time to kind of like gestate on. And doing mini arcs throughout this with one larger arc that kind of umbrellas it would have been a really smart move.
Yeah.
It would have been because you get more time with it. This would have been cool to see for 2 or 3 episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's see those thumbs for Twilight. So thumbs up all around, unanimous.
Season 3, episode 9, North Star. Archer discovers a planet where thousands of humans are living in a town that strongly resembles the Old West and becomes embroiled in a dangerous cultural conflict. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on this episode that belonged in season 2 or 4.
Boo. Will, no, Trevor, you kick it off.
I actually like the episode. I like the episode. I don't like it in the middle of, oh God, everybody's gonna die on Earth.
Yes.
Like, the fuck? Like, nice meeting you all. Gotta go. Like, we have more important shit to deal with. That's why I said this would have been great before the Zindi arc or after the Zindi arc. During it makes no fucking sense.
Drop a buoy. We'll come back later.
Send an Oberth, even though they haven't been built yet.
Yes.
Do something that isn't, let's spend however much time we actually spend, but 44 minutes for the rest of us. Like, why? Why are we here? This doesn't, like, an interesting people abducted from Earth story. Like, Discovery ends up doing it better, but like an interesting people abducted from Earth story. Let's explore it. But like, we don't have time to explore right now. Like, remember 9/11 in space? It just happened.
It just happened.
Anyway, those are my thoughts. It's a good. I'm actually going to give it a positive rating when we're done, but it doesn't belong here.
Will?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this better. Like there's other episodes. Voyager did it, and I think did it better. I mean, how many episodes of the original series are basically this episode? I think it's fine. I thought it was surprisingly well paced, and I actually really liked the music in it for some reason. Mm-hmm. But it was like, why this? Why here? Why this episode? What were you doing? Like, there's not much of a connection to like the rest of the Zindi stuff. It would have been interesting if they're like, why are there a bunch of humans here? And it'd be the sphere builders that abducted them. Like maybe something. Like, why are they here? Like, it doesn't give anything to the rest of the arc. It's a one-off, but not in a way where we needed a palate cleanser. Like, it doesn't precede an episode that was particularly heavy, or like an episode that was like, we might need a little bit of a break from the story of this. But it doesn't, it's like, why would there be people here? And I don't know if they really fully answer. I was pretty deep into my sock drawer at this episode, I think. But it was like, why is this connected to that?
Mhm.
Like, why are they here? It doesn't add anything. It doesn't add to the mystery. It doesn't create anything later. But if they were abducted and brought there by the sphere builders, would be interesting. Because it's like, oh, why were they here? And then we get our first kind of taste of them. Like, oh, there's spheres. There's something related to the sphere. Something. It's just, it's too disconnected. It's fine. But I mean, they could have replayed the 1930s, the 37s episode from Voyager, and it would have been almost exactly the same. I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah. I feel like I like the idea of connecting it somehow. Like there are too many alien cultures coming to Earth. Earth is not that interesting. I don't buy it. Like I've always said, if all of this is a simulation, I have some feedback for the designers. And so Earth being fascinating for all of these alien cultures. The Elorians were here forever. The Lanthanites were here for forever. Whoever took the 37s, whoever took these people, I don't even remember the name of the alien race that was on this planet with them. Had it been an offset of Xindi reptilians and connect to, oh, they're still in the past working on a bioweapon. They pulled some humans away. They're doing some shit on Earth that connects to Carpenter Street. That could have been really interesting. And you need to explain, like, something happened and the Xindi thought the colony was completely destroyed and never went to check. And that's why some Xindi children, not this other race of children, are being taught. It was a little white saviory with the teacher, especially the history lesson part is like, they took our ancestors. Like, it wasn't, it felt just shy of just the factual, here's what happened. It felt very, here's what your people did to us and why we're in this situation. Like, even though she is, it felt very like white women can be dangerous.
Yeah, and like you have
could be.
You have the oppressor in that situation. Like, basically they're teaching their own history to a bunch of people who are the other in that situation. So it's like they have history too, and they're not being taught it, and they're not being taught it from their own people's perspective. So yeah, I really like the actress though. I thought she was great. And I love an episode where you'll land a spaceship on a planet full of like a podunk planet and show people all your wonderful technology.
Yeah. This bit was the interest. I'm not a big Western fan, but like that bit of like, what are these wildly different cultures clashing like? That's to me is interesting. But I also agree with Trevor. I think season 2 or 4 would have made a better fit for this one.
I'll also say in a season chock full of different colored jumpsuits for Jolene, like a weird, like, I'm gonna wear the shiny blue one. Like,
yeah.
She has the white kind of desert one.
You gotta land on a
would make more sense.
When you're the aliens, you have to land on a planet in a silver jumpsuit. That's how it works.
All right, touche. Also, all these people visiting Earth, I think we're assuming, like, not to paraphrase McCoy and Spock in Star Trek 4, but like, why are we assuming they're here for us? Like, maybe they're just here for the wildlife.
Fair. Guinan was here to listen.
And rescue dogs. Hello.
Yeah, also
she had a pity that was clearly in need of a home.
Or we could just be easy game to be used as slaves. I mean, could be that.
Or there's an off ramp that we don't know about.
Yes.
Galactic off ramp. Yeah, the subspace eddy is just like passed within a few parsecs.
Sure.
All right, let's see those thumbs for whatever this episode was called. Oh, North Star. Yeah.
I like it. All right, comment.
That finally
was doing this.
Title, right?
Audience, you can agree with me or be wrong.
Don't do it. It's a meh.
Drum roll.
Anybody?
We're not moving on until you rate us.
Oh god. No, I think Joel I think went to bed.
It's a
Joel, there he is.
All right. Fair enough.
Joel just earned himself a cocktail at STLD. I'm not bribing the audience, I swear, but I'm totally bribing the audience. Season 3, episode 10, Similitude. Dr. Flox clones Trip after he is severely injured in an accident that disables the ship inside a hazardous space cloud. That's horribly worded. Archer faces an ethical dilemma as the clone gains sentience and does not want to die so that his organs may be harvested. Selfish.
It's not exactly accurate, but close. Let's see a hand. Who wants to start on this before I go on a rant?
You're gonna rant the fuck. Just go, girl. Don't wait.
Go for it.
I sent a text to a few of my fellow saloners, albeit in the middle of the episode, and I was like, am I a monster? Because I don't get the moral quandary here, because I am a monster, but not for this reason. The general gist from Phlox is this will clone him. He will exist for 15 days. Somewhere in there, his tissue will be compatible and we can save Trip. Whatever. I think this was a weird attempt at an allegory to the sheep cloning that had happened just a few years earlier in real life, and stem cell research, which was a big hubbub in early 2000s, even though it shouldn't have been because it's just science. For me, this episode could have been fit. Well, so what ends up happening is Phlox is like, well, shit, this is going to kill him. I did not know when we cloned him. I thought he would have the full 15 days. This will kill him. And oh, bummer, instead of 15 days, he'll only have 10. I think a couple of things. Fuck this episode. One, that 15-day window versus like 3 years. Like if they were cutting his life, it like down from years, I would have got a little bit more of the moral quandary if they knew that from the jump. If he didn't get Trip's memories, like his aptitude for engineering, and he learned in a couple of days, that would have kept his engineering prowess intact, but his like, yes. And Joel in the chat, why would you not keep him sedated if you were going to do this? Like there are so many little things that I think the writers wrote themselves into a mess when the story they were trying to tell is, would this be right? I think at the jump, here are the circumstances, and what I needed Phlox to say was, and he will be sentient, so we cannot force the tissue transfer. We can only ask, and we have to respect his decision if he says no, and we can't say Trip. That to me could have made it more interesting. Like make it more about him choosing to sacrifice himself, which like he gets there, but like then he has his memories, and that's how he tells to Paul, Trip has feelings for you. And I don't understand the moral quandary in the way that it gets discussed a lot, but I will say they flub the execution in this. Like there are ways to do the story that they're trying to tell, and I don't think they get there. End of rant. Stan's a monster. Let's see those thumbs. No, who has thoughts?
I'll just say, before I debate the moral quandary of creating someone for the purposes of donating tissue, it's a lot easier to just clone the tissue. Like this episode just is biologically inaccurate. Like you're going to create a whole fucking sentient person so that you can obtain tissue when you could just culture and clone the tissue.
Yeah. We needed more technobabble for like, it needs to be the whole creature. Like we need the full body.
or something else, like early, like go ahead and borrow from TNG because you've borrowed from everything else. Like early transporter accident. The Trip we know is dying. The transporter duplicate can save him, is only going to live for a certain amount of time. Like that the clone wasn't cloned in sickbay, that the clone came from somewhere else, had a, I hate to use this term, but an expiration date. And we were like, well, can we have some of that tissue? Or like engage in a conversation and a moral quandary there versus Dr. Phlox is a mad scientist. which is like the avenue they went down. And yeah, creating a sentient being for the purposes of donation is a little sketch.
Also, Phlox would never have brought that up in the first place. Like Archer would have had to have known about it somehow, and then like held a gun to his head to get him to do it. Like
It's
the
a
fact
little
that he just suggests it so cavalierly out of nowhere. It's wild.
I get him. Yeah, he could have been more hesitant, but like the stakes of this mission, whatever, like compelled him to share this as an option. I will say, John Billingsley acts the hell out of this episode. Like he didn't get a lot this season, but you know, when Archer gets pissy with him, you said he would live the whole 15 days, not 10, because like that 5-day gap, just like, I'm sorry that like. I guess any amount of time, like I'm not trying to be, I'm trying not to be a monster, but like the difference of 10 days to 15 days is whatever. Him being such a dick, but Phlox has that moment of like, at the time I did not know, and this is necessary to save Commander Tucker. Like he gets invested in it.
But the best answer would have been, I'm sorry, Denobulan days are only 18 hours long.
Yes.
Yeah. This episode is so strange because it's like, again, almost good, and it doesn't dig deep enough into the moral questions of this for it to be compelling in that way. But it's more, there are so many plot holes in it. It's like, why couldn't they have just sedated him? Did they not just clone the tissue? Like, there's also not a high enough stakes in terms of like we can't complete this mission without Tucker. And then they're like, well, then they get, there's no desperation in it. It was like, Phlox being like, well, I could clone him. And they're like, what? Yeah. And he has all the memories. And I was like, why do we need Dead Trip? We got this guy who knows everything. It's like, okay. Like, oh, he's only going to live for 15 days. Okay. So like, I'm sure if they had talked to him and they're like, you can only live for 15 days, but it'll do this. I'm sure that the clone of Trip would be like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like they eventually get to him. Like they could have sat him down like, we cloned you. Mm-hmm. We're sorry, but we need you to donate tissue to save him so we can go save blah, blah, blah. Like a very thoughtful conversation probably would have yielded him going, yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
They should have cloned 5 of him. They should have cloned 5 of him and then did a Russian roulette scenario.
And then they should have given Trip 5 penises. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like I
Problematic gay alert.
Trip's last wish, and he's 5 of them. Yeah.
All those people behind Ray Gillette are Trip Tuckers.
Problematic gay alert.
There's even a fat one, and I am into it as a fellow fatty.
Yeah, this episode is also kind of the anti-Tuvix. Like it feels like they went like, let's try it again, but let's make it not so that they kill him, but he gets murdered. It's weird. It's weird. Like they don't dig deep enough into it. Like the moral things of like this, the moral ideas around this. They don't go far enough into it. But this would have been a good one to have a 2 episode on. Like it would have been good to drag it out a little bit, have a little bit more involved, but. Yeah, I mean, this could have been solved with them just sedating him, or just like a thoughtful conversation. Yes. Like when he got old enough, it'd be like, you can only live this amount of time.
Actually, this would have been a great time to make us give a shit about Trip's sister dying by having the clone, having Sim see and watch letters from Elizabeth to Trip.
Yes.
Anyway. I could rewrite this season all day long.
Yeah. I remember that line of like, so what am I to you? Just something you made in the lab? Like, yeah, Sim, that's exactly right. Like, get to sickbay. Like, I don't know. I'm a monster. Let's see those.
One thing I'll say about this episode, it's the first time every major character had like an emotional arc through the episode. It's the first time everyone was kind of on the same journey. I'll just say that. Anyway, sideways.
Yep. Unanimous sideways.
Season 3, episode 11, Carpenter Street. Daniels pays Archer a surprise visit With news of a Zindi plot, 3 reptilians have traveled back 150 years in time to 21st century Detroit, and someone needs to stop them.
And DTI isn't going to do their fucking job. I have thoughts. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I'll be quick about this one. This episode was pointless.
The premise of the
Pointless.
is insane.
Pointless. That's all I wrote.
Was there a point to this
Is
episode?
pointless. No, it didn't have one. Pointless. But we're gonna go back in time. Fuck off. Like it doesn't do anything. There wasn't enough explanation as to Zindi's connection to the temporal Cold War, why this is happening. It just was pointless. It's like, oh, we wanted to go back to have a period piece in the 60s. Fuck off. It was pointless.
I actually wildly think there is a good episode in here, but the premise of the premise makes zero fucking sense. Like, I am sorry, you cannot work for a time travel agency and then tell me you don't have time to get approval for the mission to save the fucking timeline. You do have the time. It drives me up a fucking wall. Like, I also said this in text earlier. They could have easily fixed it with, like, Daniels needed to explain, because he had said months earlier, recorded history does not show this attack. The ripple effect is still flushing out, whatever. I need a little bit of technobabble of their temporal shields. Because of what happened with Shockwave, we decided to protect our headquarters. We're literally just floating in space. Earth was destroyed. We're on reserve power and air. We don't know what's going on. Last time you and I talked, you think it's months ago. For me, it was an hour ago. You know more about the reptilians at this point, so we're going to send you back. Like, that it would take too long to get the mission approved to save the entire fucking planet. In the, like, the writers just gave up.
Also,
insane.
Make T'Pol the reason, like, make her the one that has to go back, and Archer just needs to go back and assist her.
Yeah, sure.
Don't make Archer the savior. Make someone else important, and he can tag along.
It's a scientific issue, yeah. But I will say the creep helping the Zindi, like, seeing present day or past day humans be shitty, juxtaposed with Archer and what we could be, could have been interesting had Archer not been such a Team Earth Galaxy Police asshole this entire season. Like, seeing this guy just doing whatever for money, kidnapping people, versus the captain of the Enterprise. Like, that, what an interesting juxtaposition that could be in this episode had it made sense, and it just didn't.
Also, just give this episode to Travis and Hoshi.
Also that.
Replace Archer and T'Pol with Travis and Hoshi. Give them something to do, for fuck's sake.
Have them fall into a time portal somewhere else and be like, they're following the Zindi reptilians, fall into a time portal, and end up in the 60s.
We need somebody who speaks every language on Earth plus Zindi.
Yeah, put it in Shanghai or something instead
and
of.
She needs to be accompanied by someone who can fly and look amazing in a tank top.
That's oddly specific.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Benji, any thoughts on this episode before we vote and then wrap up with the last one?
No, because I was watching right up until the Salon, and I decided that I would skip this one and then watch Chosen Realm instead, which was a horrible mistake.
Yeah. All right, let's see those thumbs, and then we'll get into the last episode for the night. All right, it's a sideways, 3 sideways and a down.
Season 3, Episode 12, Chosen Realm. Enterprise rescues a crew of religious extremists who seize the ship and plan to use the Enterprise as a weapon against their enemies. Dun, dun, dun.
But their religion is slightly different than mine. Their religion is different on the right side. My religion is different on the left side. Right? Like everybody got "Let this be your last battlefield" vibes, right?
Yeah.
But that can't be. They're all dead. Sorry.
Yeah. I was so annoyed that if you're going to tell a story about religious zealots, there are plenty of real world allegories to drive home, particularly in Christianity. I said what I said. I grew up Mormon. I know what I know. But to make it so silly, in the 60s, I kind of got it, right? Like it was about racism. I got it. Making it, they believe this happened in 9 days. We believe it happened in 10. That's not enough. It's not the worst thing about this episode, but that's not enough. And anybody else, go for it.
Again, it's an episode that doesn't really it doesn't push the plot anywhere, and it's kind of a filler episode. The connections that they're the spheres and all that, whatever, but it doesn't give it doesn't go far enough into it. It's a little okay. And then for some reason this season, it always seems to the climax of this is just a lot of the time just Archer punching someone in the face. 80% of the episodes, the resolution is Archer just deciding I'm going to punch this person in submission. It's kind of just how I was oh, you're just going to beat him up. Okay. It's not a particular, it's not going to go down as one of the best episodes, but it's just, it's asking a lot of stuff. I think we've seen it better, and it's just not connected enough to to the overall plot of this. If it was people who worship the sphere builders or something, or if it was oh, why these people were kind of fucked with. Maybe the sphere builders tried to build them up and it failed, and that's what this is about. They figured they'd use religion to get them to attack the humans, but that doesn't work. Something where it's a little more connected, because right now it's oh, just these crazy people live here and they're just religious, and it's oh, the only thing that they have is a difference of a day.
And we got to remember the time. This is very this is a not at all subtle dig at Islam. Hijacking these religious zealots hijack the Enterprise to take out their enemy somehow. It is not at all subtle for 2003, 2004.
And not at all Star Trek. It's not at all tolerant. It's not at all logical scientific solution. It's just Don't get me started again.
Benji, you skipped Carpenter Street for this one. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I know I said I watched it, but I was in the kitchen the whole time just listening. So all I caught was that there was one guy named Dijon Mustard, another guy named Prenup, and I just kept hearing that. But yeah, that's
Dijamot and Prenup. All right, let's vote on this last episode for the evening before we wrap things up, and it's a unanimous down. And ending on a low note.
Well,
all right. 4 downs. All right, y'all. We are coming to the end. Before we turn it over for the tally, I do want to remind folks this Saturday, April 5th, First Contact Day 2025, Trek Talks 4 is happening. You can find them at trektalks.net. You can find them on YouTube, just searching Trek Talks. Really cool panels planned. The Sci-Fi Sisters are involved. Trek Movies involved. It's going to be a really good time. Donate if you can. The Rod Roddenberry is going to match $50,000 for the Hollywood Food Coalition. They're doing excellent work. So please do give what you can. All right. That is the end of our episode. It is time to land this ship. Trevor, my friend and co-host, take it away.
We gave this season's first half 3 thumbs ups, 6 thumbs sideways, and 3 thumbs downs. So a pretty all-around meh season thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Average.
There were there were 8 problematic gay alerts.
7 of them were you, though.
I earned at least 6 of them.
Good job, everybody.
There was one canon alert. Will drug a bitch once, and we fucked Rick Berman one time. Bonus points. I took 10 away from Stan for forgetting slides. I gave 69,000 bonus points to Joanne in the comments for clocking a string bikini as a literal string bikini. I gave an additional 1,985 bonus points to Joanne for Thunderdome. I gave 1,975 bonus points to Jake in the comments for properly spelling sluts in space. I gave 1,991 bonus points to Will for Trev's favorite floor lady callbacks. She looked like that.
Yeah.
I gave an additional 100 bonus points to Will for Krista's infamous "fuck off," but in his voice. 2,024 bonus points to Benji for appropriate insults for incels. An additional 500 bonus points to Benji for longing for Zindi Boxing Day. And last but not least, 5 kabillion bonus points for nurses for being better than Trek ever gives you credit for.
Period. All right, y'all. That's it for us this evening. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. We will be back next week. In the meantime, you can also check out our interview with Brian Volk-Weiss. We just dropped a few days ago. CEO of the Nacelle Company, talking about the new toy line. They also debuted Phase 2 just a few days ago. So be sure to check out that interview here on the channel at Salon Trek and all of the places. We will be back next Thursday to round out Season 3 of Enterprise. And until then, we hope you all live long and prosper. Good evening.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.